That's a good drink.
Go ahead, crack my Mad Elf.
Go ahead, crack it open. Black History Month.
Yeah.
It's February 2024. Oh, Joe got frozen on the mic. Joe got frozen on the mic.
Yo, it's crazy. I'm so used to looking over at you. All right, listen. Podcast listeners, everybody across the world, it's your boy Joe Brickhouse. Gene has given me the mic tonight, y'all. Oh, shit. I'm 40.
And Joe got frozen.
And then I froze.
There's no dead air on the podcast, Joe.
It's the rhythm. I'm used to being like, all right, Gene will come in and do his little thing. It's on me. I'm like, God dang. All right, first of all, Gene, thanks for passing over the mic over to me and letting me control this thing tonight. I appreciate you. I know this is your baby, but I want you to sit back and, just co-host.
You're the producer tonight. But I will say this, Joe. You know the cue or the song. Yeah. If y'all could see this, I was sitting here looking at Joe. I'm like, I know he hear the cue.
I froze.
What happened to the yo?
Yeah, all right.
Well, Joe do it like this. Yo.
All right. Once again, it's Joe Brickhouse. Of course, the host, the CEO, Eugene Lott, is in the building. Gene, how you feeling tonight?
I feel good, man. How y'all doing, world? I hope everybody fine on this February Black History Month.
February 2024 Black History Month. We got a special show for y'all, and we have a special guest in the house tonight. Mr. Tyson B is back in the building.
Tyson B. Hold on. We got something for Tyson.
Appreciate that.
I'm still slow on the. There we go.
That's all right.
Did we do it? Oh.
There we go.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. It's Black History Month 2024. Yep. Everybody's in good health. Let's get it.
Let's go. So for our listeners out there, y'all might remember Tyson was on the show when we did the HBCU versus PWI talk, and he had some very good content. That show was one of my favorite shows. So I'm looking forward to the conversation tonight.
One of the highest ranking shows. Oh, really? One of the most downloaded shows.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah,
that's what's
Welcome
up.
Back.
I appreciate it.
Let's keep it going. And
appreciate the invite.
You heard us talking a little bit. February 2024 Black History Month. It's a good opportunity for us black men to get in here and talk on the podcast, use our platform, talk about black history. All right. So the main topic for tonight, we're going to get into today's America. All right. Follow me. Today's America. Are we living MLK's dream? All right. That's going to be the main topic.
Repeat that for the people in the back.
Today's America. Are we living MLK's dream? All right.
All
right. So we want to focus on that. That's going to be the main topic for tonight. But as we go around and kind of set up that topic, I'm going to start with the host, with the CEO, brother Gene. Let's talk about Black history.
Hold on, Joe. What? Joe, what do we do to start every show?
Listen, I am messing up. All right, let's.
Joe got a little nerves right now.
Reverse it.
Put it in reverse.
And I've hosted this show before. I've co-hosted the show.
You've co-hosted two shows before.
Formality to our show. All right, we got to go around the room and talk about what we drink. And I'll start with myself. All right. Mix it up, a nice little old fashioned. We use.
It was a rye.
It was a rye.
Can y'all tell the difference for the rye?
I can't.
Okay.
Yes.
You can tell it?
I can tell a little bit.
All right, a little bit of bitter in there. All right, so we went to Sagamore over the weekend, picked up a bottle of the Imperial Stout Oak Aged Rye.
And for those of you who don't know, Sagamore's in Baltimore City. Shout out to Baltimore.
Be
more. Stand up.
All right, so we made us some old fashioned with that, and I'm drinking PA's on Trogs Independent Brewing Mad Elf. Mad Elf is still it's one of those holiday ales, but I found some and I wanted to kind of purge my drinking fridge. So
and that joint is out the can. And Mad Elf is pretty legit.
Yeah, so we're trying to finish these off.
And out of a can, oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right, so let's go to Gene. What you drinking on?
Like you said, we are drinking the old fashioned, and we did have a little shot of some I forgot the name of it already.
That was Old Forester.
Yep, Old Forester. Had a shot of some special Old Forester that a bottle I got when I was with Tommy. Shout out to Tommy.
Shout out Tommy.
And then I'm gonna take some of the soul from Tyson. Both of us are drinking Port City out of Alexandria, Virginia. They're Pizza Night Amber Lager, which is pretty darn good, and it's a nice easy sipper at 4.7 ABV.
Yeah. What you think about the drinks, Tyson?
They're good. You forgot to mention that the old fashions are smoked. So
smoked.
Yeah, he
smoked the old
fashioned.
That rye smoked old fashioned is hitting quite nice right now. But the first time with the pizza night out of Port City, so it's not bad. I'm enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we got that formalities out of the way. We're going to go ahead and get right into the topic. I'm going to pass it back over to you, Brother Gene. And what I want you to do is I want you to talk about some Black history moments that you can, that you can kind of recollect on. And
that I was a part of, right?
Part of, or just witness. You don't have to, be a part of, but I know you were part of some good things. But just tell me something, that you've been a part of. From a
Black history moments that I was a part of. And I feel like when we were discussing this pre-show, I feel like all of us are going to say the same thing. But
I guarantee you we won't.
All right. The first thing that came to my mind was the Million Man March.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I went there with my dad, took off for the excused day of school, which I was surprised. And literally, it was 1 million plus men. Anybody can dispute the numbers, but I was there. It was 1 million plus men, no issues, and it was awesome. I still got the button. You know what I'm saying? I still got the button. And it was an awesome thing to do with my dad. You know what I mean? And that, to me, that was a big Black history moment. You know what I mean?
DC?
Yeah, it was in DC on the mall. And it was a Black history moment because my dad also was he was at the March on Washington with his dad and my grandmother.
That's cool.
And he said he elicited it gave him the same feelings of nostalgia going back to that. So I would say that's my Black history moment that I was a part of. The one that pops in my head. But I know it's a couple out there that we all experienced.
Yep.
Sure.
All right, so Tyson, you up next.
Tyson, go ahead.
So I think my first Black history moment being a part of was January 13th. I had to look it up, 1990. Douglas Wilder was inaugurated as the governor of Virginia.
That's right. You a VA dude.
I'm a VA
yeah.
dude, right?
All right.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
And, didn't really get it then because I was probably
Right.
about 10. Same age as my daughter now. So my parents took us down there, my sister and I. Got kind of close enough to see the inauguration, but it was
Right.
just so many people. I remember that. And I remember we didn't go downtown very much,
Right.
but it was just a feeling in the air. Didn't really understand it. But I met Arthur Ashe that day as well. And I knew he was from Richmond, knew he was from close to where we grew up. So it was just kind of a major impact. I'll never forget that. But Douglas Wilder's inauguration, 1990.
And it's crazy because as I look back on that now, I don't know. It didn't register just like how you said that he was the first Black governor of Virginia. Mm-hmm. And those of you who know Virginia back in the day, we talk Civil War and everything, but of Virginia, you know. And I just remember him with his gray hair, gray little curly hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff. And then you met Arthur Ashe.
That's major.
Amazing.
Major. All right, so I'm gonna pass it over to myself. Now, I am surprised that we all didn't have the same thing. We're not going to have the same thing.
Really? I'm surprised too.
So for our listeners out there, we did have a brief conversation earlier, but we did not share each other's topic.
I told him shit. Joe wanted to say it.
I was like, don't get on there, and we all have the same topic. But we don't have the same topic. So this is good. Black history in the making. All right. This is the one I thought everybody was going to go to.
Okay.
When you said that.
All right.
But you went a different way. 44th president of the United
States. I knew he was going to say
that.
Yeah. I knew he was going to say that.
In place, Tuesday, January 20th, 2009. That was I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Right.
I remember that weekend like it was
it was a party.
It was insane. The city was on. I was proud.
Were you up here?
I was up here. So I had this was 2 years after I moved. I moved up to Maryland in 2007. Mm-hmm. So this was year 2 of me being in Maryland. Now picture this. Actually, it was like a year and a half later because I came in the summer of 07. I remember being the point person for my North Carolina friends and family. They was like, "We coming to your city," and that was my first Black history moment that I can relive, but it was my first time all right, this is my chance to kind of wrangle the herd, right?
Yep.
Let's make sure we get people where they need to be. If they want to see the inauguration parade, if they want to be actually out there for the speech,
right?
I want to be the person that sets all this up. So it was special to me because obviously I'm from North Carolina, so most of my family and friends are down there. I was living in an apartment off of Billingsley, Sheffield Greens.
Okay.
2-bedroom apartment. We had 20 people in there. 2-bedroom apartment, air mattresses, couches. My boy, we made it work.
Made it work.
Sleep on the floor, sleep on the couch. We did what we had to do. We had 20 people up in the room. We took a couple of cars up to DC that morning. The Metros were insane.
It was crazy, bro. I remember it was crazy.
Metro was insane.
I remember that day like it was just the speech and all the everything that happened that day. I got newspapers in the room in there.
Everybody do.
Buttons. But one quick thing, a little like a 1A off of that. The night before, we went to the club, Love. And
shout out to Love, man. It no longer exists.
And I didn't know how historic this moment was until like after the fact. We spent some money to get in the club. I think it was like $100 back then. So it was like,
that's a lot of money back then. That's a lot of money back then.
$100 in the club. We went in there, boom, boom, boom. Nobody argued. Everybody was like, all right, let's do it. Get in the club. Who do we see? Jeezy, Jay-Z, T.I., Beyonce.
My president is black.
That's when
my president is black.
That's when the world heard Jay-Z spit that verse.
My president is black.
In the club, we heard it first.
Wow.
In the club.
Wow.
And the fun fact of that, Jeezy had never heard that verse before.
Really?
So as we heard Jay-Z spitting that verse,
he heard it.
That was Jeezy's first time.
Damn.
That's how.
So that's a Black History moment in itself.
Go listen to it. Go back and go to Jeezy and he was talking about it a little bit. He was like, I knew he had some tracks out there, but I hadn't heard it yet. Jay-Z came to the club with his verse, and that was the first time the world heard it right there in the club in DC.
Oh, shout out to Love, man. I mean, that's a whole nother episode of. Is
Love an episode, or is it Dream and Love, or an episode, or
just the DC club scene back in the day is a whole other episode. I know this is all shit I'm 40, but we can reflect back on when all shit I'm 20. All shit I'm 22, 21.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But damn.
So that was my moment.
That's a good moment.
It was a very good moment.
Very good moment. And just to add on to that, man, that day was so epic because a lot of our grandparents were still alive during that. And this is going to put us into the mood of what we're going to be talking about, but literally they've waited their whole lives to see something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you walk into your grandmother's house, what pictures you going to see? Martin Luther King on the wall, Jesus. John F. Kennedy, and Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And the closest president we ever got to being black, if you want to say that, was Clinton.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But to see Barack come in there and not only win one term, but 2 terms.
With a black wife.
Yep. Was an amazing thing. And I'm glad that us 80s babies were able to see that.
Yeah.
You know 70s. What I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, you late 70s type. So I forgot. Tyson, we can actually consider you part of the 80s, all right?
I just barely made it in the 70s.
You just barely made it. Yeah. If your dad would have just waited like a month or 2.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. No, I'm glad we made history. We were a part of history. Yeah. So in some cases, we made history.
Right on.
I'm glad that we got some stories to pass on to our families. All right, so I want to drop some facts real quick throughout the show. As we kind of like have some segues into, I'm gonna drop some Black history facts. This is my sources, history.com. Also went to the NAACP website. Shout out to the NAACP and our local NAACP.
Shout out to President Sweat,
what's up,
who's in charge of our local NAACP chapter, which I employ everybody in Charles County, Waldorf, wherever you are at. Join the NAACP. Me and Val, we about to join the NAACP.
Wherever you are.
My lodge is about to join the NAACP. It makes a difference, man. Shout out to Ms. Sweat.
Absolutely. All right, Black History Month. Let's talk about the origin of it. The celebration of Black History Month began as Negro History Week. Negro History Week.
Start out as a week.
Which was created in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson, a noted African-American historian, scholar, educator, and publisher.
Where's he from?
Don't tell me he's from VA.
He's from Buckingham, Virginia.
Buckingham, Virginia.
Yo, shout out to VA. How close is that to Richmond, though?
It's about an hour.
Hold on, give him some love. Hold on, here we go. Give him some love.
Yo,
Carter G. Woodson is about 10 minutes from where my parents grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Full circle moment, man.
Full circle moment.
Glad you're on the show tonight, Tyson. You dropping some stuff, man. I was like, I'm going to get these boys with this one. All right?
Carter G. Woodson. Yep. Shout out to Carter G. Woodson.
So, 1926, it was Negro History Week. It became a month-long celebration in 1976. They chose February because it coincided with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
All right, so
that's a whole nother topic with old Abe,
man. Abe out of there, but it's in the stats. So I had to put it in there. Yep. All right, so I'll be dropping some more nuggets as the show go on. All right, now as we get into this topic, today's America, are we living MLK's dream? All right, we know the speech. I actually had to recite the speech. Don't ask me to do it right now, but I actually know some bits.
I felt like that was like every black African American kid.
So we know the high points of that speech. We know where direction. We know the purpose of this speech. We know the direction that he wanted, the message that he wanted to send out to not just our race, but every race. Not just Americans, but the world. All right. So we want to get into that. Today's America. We focus in on our country, United States of America. Are we living MLK's dream? And there's 3 points that we want to kind of focus on as we look into that topic. From an education standpoint, we want to look at it from an occupation standpoint and life. All right. Are we living MLK's dream? Educationally, are we living MLK's dream from our job that we have right now, 9 to 5? And are we living it from a life standpoint? All right. The money that we have in the bank, the house we live in, the clothes, the cars.
Our experiences with the police,
life. All that good stuff. Don't just think about the material things, but just the emotional part of life. Are we living in an MLK dream? So, Tyson, I'm going to kick it over to you from an education standpoint. We all get a chance to kind of piggyback off of that.
Sure.
Well, let's start with you from an education standpoint. Just give me your perspective on that MLK. We know where he wanted to kind of go and have equality for everybody, and it starts with the school system, right?
Sure.
The segregation thing was a big thing, right, back in the day, right? Let's integrate these school systems, the education that white person was getting. It was just important for the black person to get as well. So what's your take on that?
So I think, again, appreciate the invite, fellas. I think in components, we are doing that. We are living the dream. In other aspects, we got a lot of work to do. And I think some of that is on us as a group, as black people. I think other components are just the times in terms of the same racism, same obstacles that he faced, we're still facing. We look at, and I mentioned this on the last time I was on the show with the PWI versus HBCU, but it's come out now, last probably like month two, from the Biden administration, that there are 12 states that have historically underfunded HBCUs, Virginia, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, et cetera. So you look at that, right? You look at the amount of underfunding that has happened. Let's just take it from MLK from the 60s until now. We are talking about hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that have not been poured into the educational institutions that primarily support us and have been a safe haven, a safe place. And I think that's why you see students running back to HBCUs now. Kind of the popularity has come back again. Right. You think about when we were growing up, the popularity of the Cosby Show, Different World, kind of ingrained in you. You go to HBCUs. We kind of got away from that a little bit, and you see students at PWIs, and my own experience at a PWI. They aren't always safe spaces. And I think we have to think about, he wanted equality. He wanted an opportunity for everybody to have the same kind of quality of education. And I think that because we've branched out, we've been able to kind of learn some tricks, learn some strategies, learn some tactics that we've been able to bring back to the community, but it hasn't impacted the community as much as it probably should have in order for us to advance and create more equality. And I think that's where we have to do a little bit more work. It shouldn't have taken 2023, 2024 for the government to say, or for us to force the government to say, hey, we've been underfunding these institutions as much as we have been. And that's, I think, is where he'd probably be a little bit disappointed in terms of the strategy and the tactics we've taken.
Right. Or it shouldn't have taken the Amazon founder to get divorced to force his wife to drop that bread on all them HBCUs.
True.
Shout out,
True.
She gave money to BSU.
Yeah.
Tyson, it's interesting what you said, too, about the lack of money that was being dispersed to the schools. And I was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, just think if we just would have got a snippet of the money that the schools deserved, how much better off things could have been. You know what I'm saying? With the schools. But then I also think about it like this. And Joe can relate. Well, I don't know, because A&T, they get all the money.
Come on now.
But shout out to North Carolina.
I watched A&T, when they got that money and put it to use, right? When I first got there now, we was in the hood.
A little bit different.
So this is what I was saying, Joe. Like, different. Is it a blessing and a curse? Because I'll put it like this. When in HBCUs, right, there were a lot of things that we didn't have that the bigger schools had, but it taught us to use what you have and adapt, and it taught us those life skills that we're applying now in school.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wonder what HBCUs, if they were on equal footing with the PWIs, would they have actually produced the type of people that come out of HBCUs?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You still think so?
I still think so. I still think so.
Touch on that real quick, Tyson.
So we've always, HBCUs have always done well, right? And I think that's this campaign and this aura that still kind of continues of we're here and we're just as equal, right? That kind of narrative is still surprising to me that we're still using that. And I'm in a couple Facebook groups for my profession, and it's all geared around like getting kids that look like us and their parents getting them to college, right? And they're still kind of advocating the importance and the value. We should not be, at this time, still talking about the value of an HBCU. That's already been proven time and time again. Right.
Okay.
So the fact that we're still having this conversation in 2023, 2024 tells me that somewhere along the line, the strategy and the messaging from our own community hasn't been as effective as it needs to be.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that's where he would be disappointed in kind of the dream a little bit.
So, and I'm glad you said that. So I literally had this conversation over the weekend. One of my buddies that went to A&T, he was up here, and he's from Greensboro, which is where North Carolina A&T is. And I had to let people know, especially some of my family members, I made A&T my first choice. Most people
you said that on the show.
Most people think that you go to a HBCU because you couldn't get into the North Carolinas or the Virginia Techs or the Yales. I actually had other offers.
Numerous.
I chose to go to A&T. But it's a combination of absolutely what you just said, and you're making some great points as well, Tyson. But for Gene, I think the one thing that I did choose A&T for, because I felt like I needed to be around brothers, right? To bring something that I had in me coming from the small town of Wilson, North Carolina that, somewhat, I wouldn't say poor, right? But it wasn't like your middle class,
metropolis.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It wasn't metropolis, right?
Right.
So I felt like I was missing something I need to see the other side of that black life. And I don't want to experience from a PWI perspective.
Right. Okay.
I want to see it from other.
That makes sense.
So guess what? When I went to A&T, guess what most people migrate from coming from A&T? The DMV area.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
They got to get away.
They had to get away.
They got to get out.
So I'm not going to school up there. Nothing against the schools up there. Some great schools up here.
But you want to get away
they
from.
wanted to get away. So it was some intelligent young men and women that I met from PG County, and they was wealthy. From my standards of black people, what I knew, I was like, man, these people got
PG
some money.
at the time, it's been bypassed by Charles County, but I don't see it. Has been the wealthiest black.
But what I'm saying is, I needed that part of the experience.
Both sides.
I chose to go so I could see, yes, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to go off here and be somebody that I'm not. Right. Or I can be around my people, get a good education. I'm going to party. We're going to have a good time. But I'm going to go against the grain and that stereotype that they have against us, and I'm going to excel my way.
Sure.
So I made A&T my first choice. So I appreciate that tidbit that you got there. But there is a misconception about the HBCU. And I think, yes, if MLK was here today, he was like, we got to do better about promoting our HBCUs. We got to do better about making that first choice and not a check down from an education standpoint, because there are some really good schools out here.
And I think the check down piece, I'm just hopping right here for the check down piece. I think the part that is important that perhaps we haven't lived up to the dream is that we've allowed the narrative in high school and allowed people to be geared towards the PWI for success. Right.
Okay. They equate the PWI to success.
Exactly. And it's not that. And I think I was in a conversation with a chapter brother the other day about he said segregation, the end of segregation was one of the worst things that happened to us.
I agree.
And I was like, oh, that's an interesting take. And I was like, I understand it, but I never lived through segregation. So I have to go back and ask my parents, like, who went to segregated schools, like, did I have it better than you did? Right? Maybe so in some aspects. But you think about like Bear Bryant, and switches to sports and education real quick. It wasn't until USC came to Alabama and played Alabama, and USC had black football players,
half the team, that
Alabama was like, okay, I need some Negroes in order for me to win and to play.
Facts.
And that change shifted the landscape of the talent, some athletic talent specifically, going to PWIs, to James Meredith, so on and so forth. This integration component that shifted and kind of moved some of would have been leaders in HBCUs, leaders in PWIs as well. And I think that kind of, perhaps we didn't strategize enough in the move out of segregation in the education realm to, one, support those that were going to the PWIs, support the HBCUs to continue that, what has been a strong legacy and continues to be a strong legacy,
right,
but mirroring the two so that we can we have a strategy that prevails generation after generation.
So I'm gonna hop on it real quick. So my take on it, as far as what MLK would think of how it is today, you got to remember a couple of things. MLK, what was it? I think it was after he left Morehouse, if I remember correctly. You know, there were blacks that were going to PWIs up north.
Sure.
The Browns and the
Cornells,
and everything,
Smith,
you know. And while it wasn't ideal situations and they had to create their own environments, they were able to get into the schools. I look at Jesse Owens at Ohio State. You know, he was able to get into Ohio State, but they wouldn't give him a scholarship. He had to work as a janitor. He had to do all that.
It'd be rough out
but
there.
He was there, you know. But I would think that he would be happy what's going on now because we're kind of on equal footing.
Yeah, okay.
In terms of like school, like all the schools are coming up. And the black colleges are getting some quality instructors that are coming in, both white and black.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And PWIs are getting a lot of minorities that are coming in. What will probably blow him is to see that, wow, there are white people trying to get into HBCUs and are getting in on minority scholarships.
Absolutely. That's unreal. But yeah, I get it.
And I call out Bowie State right now. Like Bowie State, you walk on campus, you're like, whoa. Especially since when we were there, I was like, you know, granted they're all commuters, but we were talking about that before.
Sure. But I also think
that'll be the thing now. He'll be like confused.
Think it's the opportunity piece though. Like, give my people, his people, opportunities to seek higher education. I think that's the part that was kind of lost in the message. And I want to kind of talk about one of the actual facts from his dialogue. Education should not only teach man to think intensively, but also provide worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. Right? So don't just put me in the school because I'm a football player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't just put me in the school because I can sing or I can act. Give me some worthy objectives.
So, Joe, you say that. What is the argument now between the Republicans and everybody about getting into schools, the affirmative action about getting into schools and stuff, taking race off of the application? You know, it's almost like you kind of agreeing with it, which I want to hear y'all opinion on that, and then we got to move. We're gonna move on to the next one. Yeah, because we can go deep on that. Really but what is your opinion now on just getting rid of race off the application?
So I'm going to look at it from this angle, and maybe you two will have a different approach. I actually don't have an issue with removing race because it's like you're not being prejudged, you know?
Right?
Maybe by a name you can kind of figure out what kind of person that is, but I wanna focus on more of the give me a fair chance. Now that's the objective
right.
I'm focusing on, right? No matter what color I am, no matter what languages I speak, if I have the capacity to learn and my credentials meet your requirements,
right,
then let's remove the biasness, right? Let's allow me to go into whatever school I choose to go into if I can afford it. Give me fair opportunities to scholarships and grants, right? And that's what I feel like MLK wanted. It's like, don't just limit yourself to, let's bottleneck all of our people into this school over here and we're going to feed them rice and peas, right? While everybody else over here is eating good steak and all that stuff like that on the meal plan, right? Give me that same opportunity as that next man. I think what you're going to see is we have some very intelligent African Americans in the world.
And I think James Brown said it the best in his song. You know, I don't want nothing from nobody. Just open up the door. I'll get it myself.
Absolutely. That's the mentality I had. Like,
exactly.
I don't need nothing. I want to go get it myself, and I want to prove that.
And shout out to our parents for also giving us names where they won't know who the hell we are by our names and stuff.
Joseph, you know? I'm getting in any school.
Exactly. And Eugene can go either way. Oh, Eugene Charles. Oh man.
Any school I go to. Joseph Brick,
right?
Yes,
and Tyson. Tyson.
Absolutely.
Right. You know,
absolutely.
We good on education, fellas. What y'all think? You want to get any last minute?
I mean, we can do it at the end. Education. That's a whole show again.
I'm going to chime in for one piece. So the SCOTUS decision is layered for me. What I think we are going to see is a decrease of black students at the PWIs. And I think that at times it helps to see that information, to see the whole picture of a student, and to see the whole picture of their experiences. You may have a student that is super talented, but is not savvy in how to present that talent based upon their environment and based upon the inequality that may be in the school systems, K through 12.
Okay. Right.
And I think that I've seen more often than not where the people that are supposed to be supporting and writing letters are a different color and are not advocating for that student the way that they have in the next application. Right, so these students are one place apart in the class, and you are raving about this student.
Yeah,
right.
And their credentials are all the same. The only thing that is different is what box they checked. So I think there's something to that. I think this is a super layered conversation for another day, but I think there are a lot of dynamics at play with the SCOTUS decision and for that.
Before we move on. And Tyson, you can answer this in 20 to 10 seconds or less, or else we're going to save it for the next educational podcast.
Okay.
But are PWIs doing enough?
Ooh.
Are they doing enough not only to bring the black students or the minority, because I'm not only going to say blacks, to bring the minority students in, white. And then and that's how they look at it, and then to keep them in and to keep them, you know what I'm saying? Because all the stories I hear about y'all at y'all college was about 5 or 6, 7 blacks here, and it was everybody else.
Yeah, I think I think some are, and I think that's where you get a designation between like a PWI, a MSI, minority serving institution, so that like Mason, VCU.
Right. See, that's a new one. I never heard of an MSI. I'm about to start using that.
And then you look at like an HBCU, just in terms of like the categorizations. I don't think that PWIs fully understand the journey and the spectrum, and I think that is that's not their focus. Right? All institutions are a business, and my business is to graduate, is to get you in the door and graduate you, and advertise enough for you to give back to the institution. That is my goal, right? And along the way is to give you opportunities to get into specific industries, job industries, et cetera. Yep. So I don't think that it is one of the goals, but it's not a major goal.
Gotcha.
Wow. Oh, look, y'all, we're gonna have
this got to continue later.
This topic, because we can go down so many rabbit holes of this, and this is when we bring Tyson on because he works in the field. He's a professional in the field, knows a lot more than we do. And he has a cool radio voice.
What's that term? Yeah, what's that term you said? What was that?
MSI.
I learned that. Look, we learned something today.
It's baseball history, right?
Exactly. Go ahead, Joe. What's the next one?
All right, so we're gonna get into that was our education piece. Like Gene said, we're gonna wrap that up, and we're gonna come back to at some point and later into our podcast. Education is where we will go next. All right, but before I go into the education,
we just did education.
I'm sorry.
Joe.
Occupation.
I'm over here tripping. Occupation is where we go. We wrapped up education. We're going to occupation. All right. Before we go into occupation, I want to let's highlight some women for Black History Facts.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Shout out to the ladies.
All right.
Some ladies. All right. I got a couple that I want to get into here. I'm going to say this. Let me see if y'all can figure it out. 1940 was a year first African American performer to win an Academy Award, the film industry's highest honor for a portrayal as a loyal slave governess in Gone with the Wind.
Hattie McDaniel.
Hattie.
Shout out to Hattie.
Shout out.
All right.
You know who I was thinking of at first though, but she didn't win. I don't think she won one. I was thinking of Dorothy Dandridge.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But Hattie, shout out to Hattie.
All right.
Amazing in her own right.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, and we get to another one. Self-made millionaire.
Come on, now I already know that. Come on now.
This person was born in a cotton plantation in Louisiana.
Come on now, hair products.
Come on with it.
Became wealthy after inventing the line of African American hair care products. She established Madam C.
J. Walker
Laboratories.
All right.
And was also known for her philanthropy. All right, and one more. Mm-hmm. Y'all might not get this one.
Okay.
Because I think I'm not gonna say the person that you're gonna say. All right, Michael Jordan is on this list.
Oh man.
The person that I know y'all are thinking is on this list, and then there's this other person, first American billionaire. All right, first American billionaire,
first African American
billionaire. All right, sold a cable station, founded by BET. 2001.
Johnson, right?
Robert Johnson.
Who?
I thought everybody was gonna go Oprah Winfrey.
Rob got that joint first.
Robert Johnson.
And BET's headquarters was in Northeast DC. Right off New York Avenue.
So that's a little history for Oprah, Michael Jordan, and Robert for being black billionaires. The first three, I want to say.
Okay. And then Jay-Z coming there like number 9, 10.
Absolutely. There's a lot more right now. All right.
Exactly.
Now, all right, let's go back and focus on it. We wrapped up the education. Let's get into occupation. I'm going to
pass this over
to my man. I'm going to pass this over to Gene first on this. All right. What do you think about where we stand as a race from an occupational standpoint as it relates to MLK and where,
how MLK
how would he feel about where we are right now as a race?
I would say he would be very happy in terms of where we are in different occupations. I would say the federal government took the lead in doing that because a lot of black families and black people got their wealth and got their start and got their status because of the federal government. The federal government provided a way to
good government job.
Yep. To the middle class.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my good government job. You know what I'm saying? And I think he would be extra proud to see that younger people now are getting there at a quicker sprint. You know, and we have to always pay homage to our parents. Because I know I would be, my father would kick me in the butt if I didn't say how long, you know, that they paved the way. Their generation paved the way, you know, for us to be able to make our grades as quick as we made them. You know, my daddy would tell me all the time, I started out as a GS2.
I remember you saying that.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he finished almost about to make SCS, you know what I mean? But they paved the way and they had to put up with the bull crap.
Sure.
But that was the quickest way into the middle class. And I will also say, too, the military.
Sure.
The military also provided another way for black middle class. You know, the GI Bills, to be able to, for black people to go to college. Yeah. You know, and also to be able for them to buy their first homes. Yeah. Because we know black wealth starts in owning a home.
Home ownership.
Home ownership, you know. And I would say he would be proud.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, would there be some stuff that we still need to fix?
Absolutely.
Yes. Because I can honestly say there is instances where people are promoted because of the color of their skin and not because of what they know.
I agree.
Because they want to check a box to say, hey, we got this many people at this certain grade, or we got this many people as vice presidents, or we got this many people as middle management.
Sure.
And guess what? 50% of them are black. And that's why I'm 50-50, and Tyson, we could talk about this too, and Joe. I'm 50-50 on the the DEI.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm really look. We're all on the same
We're not
page.
coming to you yet, Tyson. We're gonna save that for the DEI.
Yeah, I'm 50-50
Let's hold that for the
Yeah.
end. All right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm at. So
All right.
go ahead, Jim.
All right, I'm gonna pass it over to me. I always like to have my facts. All right, so I'll quote some
Shout out to Terrence, man. Terrence, look, he done took a page.
Terrence, he's like I'm his protege, right? I like notes, right? He keep
Do that research.
Absolutely. Right. All right, this is MLK's stance on work. Do your work with pride.
Right.
He talking about Aggie pride or?
Oh, see, here we go. Joe had to slide it in there. He had to slide it in.
Do your work with pride. Whatever your life's work is, do it well. A man should do his job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. That's a quote right there.
Wow.
Let me read that again. Whatever your life work is, do it well. A man should do his job so well that the living, the dead, and the unborn could do it no better. All right. Wow. And then further along in this particular speech or dialogue that he said, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. All right. If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. So federal government, Gene, all right, you know that's where I'm at right now. We want to talk about that in particular from opportunity standpoint as far as occupation. I think, I have to agree with you. I agree with you from a standpoint that I think he will be very pleased that where we are as a race right now, rank wise, opportunity wise, right. The posture that we have,
things that we do,
the things that we do, the information that we are able to be a part of, the people that we have access to, right, the people that we have access to. I just don't think that 80 years ago or 50 years ago, for that matter, I don't think that they would have been able to. I sit down with my TD and have monthly syncs. That's
discussions,
right? That's discussion, and we're talking about in Virginia, right?
Or like I'm a black man sitting down with an admiral and a general and talking.
2 and 3-star having
a conversation.
For those of us not in the military, what is a TD?
Technical director. I'm sorry, yes, absolutely.
Technical director.
All right.
I appreciate that.
We those of us not in military speak. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
But it's a big thing because you wasn't seeing that.
You was not seeing it.
And especially at our age.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on like a normal drum beat with my technical director who is ranks, up there with some 1 stars, maybe 2 stars, right? People up in the Navy Yard, right?
Got it.
Interface with those type people.
Got it.
Big
I'm
Navy,
with you.
big Army, whatever the military, federal government works for. But the fact that I have access to those people, and from my perspective, from a line manager, the reach that I have on people that are under me, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way when I say that, but
in the hierarchy,
in the hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
Like looking at where I am and the people that we manage and the mentorship that we provide, the networking that we provide, and I just think that we are ahead of the game in that aspect, right? I think we made great strides. I think that somebody broke down those doors for us, Gene, right? And I think it's important for Tyson in the education industry and us in the federal government and whatever our listeners are there, whatever your field is, hold true to your values, but don't forget about others.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't want to just make it a black thing. It is Black History Month, but pull people up. All right. Think about your opportunities and how you got to where you are. It may not have just been a black person that helped you get to where you are.
And that is the truth, Joe.
True.
That is the truth.
It may not have been that black person that got you to where you are, but don't forget about your people. Don't forget about hold them accountable, right? And I go out and do recruiting often. I was in Baltimore this weekend recruiting, by the way. Bay Year 2024 Black Engineer of the Year Awards. All right, was in the convention center in Baltimore. And we had several African American students come by looking for job opportunities. I felt like it was my duty to talk to those students. Some of them needed some help with their resumes. Some of them not have the credentials that they needed to seek government employment. But it was my right to kind of give them some guidance on where they needed to make some gains.
Absolutely.
Right? And I made it my business to talk to every person that came to see me and give them some pointers. And the number one question was, how'd you get to where you are? Right? And I told them, be bold and accept the challenge. right?
You know, those are Bowie State credos. Right there.
God, here we go.
Here we go. The oldest HBCU in Maryland.
In Maryland.
I guess so. All right. Be bold and accept the challenge. So for everybody out there and that's listening, whatever your profession is, I don't care if you flip burgers at McDonald's, I don't care if you're working at Walmart, I don't care if you are CEO of your own thing. Don't forget about the people. Don't forget about the ones that help you get where you are,
right?
And help others. Help others, and I think that's the key point. Yep. In doing it well, that pride, right? That's that pride aspect that MLK talked about. Take pride in what you do it well, but also be a stepping stone for.
And I think you'll be proud that there are opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of opportunities. Excuse me, opportunities that wasn't available back then.
Sure,
Yep.
And with those opportunities, it's. I done lost my train of thought. I'm gonna stick with opportunities, but Tyson, go ahead and pick it up. I had something good. It was fine.
With those opportunities comes the chance for growth, right? So I think different from my take on education. I think here he would be pleasantly surprised and pleasantly pleased with the expansion of where we are in terms of our careers. Joe, to your point, I think it's absolutely imperative that we reach back and that we help people get to where we are or pass us.
Absolutely.
Right. And I'm absolutely okay with people passing me. I just brought in a whole new team this summer, and all of them should pass me in terms of my career. That's the way that I look at it. Right. Because somebody helped me. And I just had drinks with my now my friend, but my mentor that pushed me out of my first professional job out of grad school. He was like, it's time for you to go.
Right.
You can't do anything else here.
Now can we bring up the elephant in the room? Because I'm going to tell you, the problem with us.
It's your podcast. You do what you want to do.
The problem with us is we do have that crab. We still have that crab in the barrel mentality.
I have to be intentional about what Channing just said.
Did you say Channing?
I'm sorry.
He just Tyson.
That's all good. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
We all got a network of people that we did.
I knew what you meant.
Tyson, I'm so sorry. You can edit that out later, bro. You know what I'm saying? Or we keep it in there.
I'll try.
This is some raw stuff right now, bro.
But no,
this is raw.
Talk about it. We still have that crab in the barrel mentality.
I have to be intentional about what you said, Tyson, because, and it wasn't like I was doing it on purpose, right? But my mentality has always been, I'm okay with you exceeding me, but somehow I came off as I'm holding you back, right? And I'm not perfect, right?
Right. Nobody is.
I get mentored, right? I need people that I have a network of people that can kind of coach me and drive me forward. And one thing that some feedback that I got from one of my employers was like, I just feel like there's no opportunities past you, right? What is the next step for me? This is what they gave me. And I'm like, all right, cool. I wasn't thinking like I'm holding you back from surpassing me, and that made me change my mindset. You know what? I need to show them what it's like beyond me.
Sure,
right? Because I was talking more of a linear when I was in my evaluation. You know how they go, right? I was like, yeah, your next natural progression is going to be group lead, and then one day you're going to be a branch head, and blah blah blah. I stopped there because that's all I knew.
Right.
That level where I was.
Right.
Right. It wasn't until I had some coaching that I was like, it was like, no, guide them to the highest level, the technical director that Brian's talking about, right? Show them the path of how to get to that technical director, and it doesn't look like you're withholding information from them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had to learn that, and I had to be intentional about it.
It's funny you mention that because I was just in a conversation. I'm in a group chat with some people in the profession, and someone hit me in the group chat and was like, yo, this your boy? Who'd y'all send here? I was like, well, send me a picture. I was like, yeah, that's my boy. Like, we work together. He just joined us, but he's going to be a rock star. He's going to be a VP.
Absolutely.
Like, just give him time. I just need to work with him a little bit, build some skill sets. But he's gonna be a VP, and it shut the conversation down.
Because he sounded like he was about to say something.
Right. So I just didn't know where the conversation was going to go.
Okay.
Right. But I needed to take up for my guy because he absolutely has the ability. And I think that's what MLK's dream is right. Regardless of color, creed, religion, whatever.
If you got the ability.
If you got the ability and you can do the work.
Yes.
then
Absolutely.
you know what? It's my job to make it a little bit better for you, or to make sure that you don't have some of the obstacles I had. Learn from my experience, and let's push it forward.
And that's what I'm talking about, because I'm gonna tell you, Willie Lynch, he did a shit job. I'm telling you. And if y'all don't know about Willie Lynch, go look up Willie Lynch. But that's been ingrained in our people. And a lot of times that's what our forefathers had to come up against. Like, man, I'm gonna make it, but you gotta find your own way to make it.
Yeah.
You know, but we had some people
It's still
who
out
didn't
there.
think like, it's still out
now,
there.
still now.
And again, Joe, you touched on it. Even with myself, I make it an intentional thing to anybody that works up under me to pass the knowledge down that I have gained. And I want to see them do, look at this.
Yeah, we live.
We
baby.
live. We got phones.
Live.
We got phone
This is what
calls
happens when you
going on.
live.
You know?
It's real
But
life.
I make it intentional to bring them up.
Yep.
Because a lot of times there wasn't anybody to bring us up. We had to learn on our own. But that doesn't mean the next person has to learn on their own.
Yeah.
The next person should have an easier time
Yeah.
Yes.
than you had.
Yep.
And so on and so
Absolutely.
forth. And you should
Absolutely.
They
expect
should have
them.
a different challenge than what you
Exactly.
had. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's the
Because
thing I
the
feel like.
challenge evolves.
Yep.
challenge
Exactly.
evolves.
And that's the thing I feel like us as a people need to do a lot better in. And I think that MLK would kind of be a little disappointed in.
Yep. I agree.
You know.
All right.
Sure.
DI, did we get into that? Did I miss it? DI?
No,
No, we didn't get it
Let's go
yet.
real quick.
We can hit that
Real
last.
quick,
Yep, go ahead.
Real quick before we go into lifestyle, we're going to get into how
DEI
how we live
opinions.
DEI. Come on.
Tyson, go
Talk
ahead.
to it, Tyson.
Well, first tell everybody what DEI is, because some people may not know.
Yeah.
the
Diversity,
abbreviation.
equity, inclusion. This catapulted with George Floyd. I think that's fair to kind of
It's
say.
fair
that
to
was
say
a-
it.
There was a space and a movement of it prior to Floyd, both in business and education,
Yep.
especially at given my lens at PWIs and hiring people that came from backgrounds that were non-white to kind of lead these spaces. And you see that the same with Google. Joe, I'm taking a page out your book, but the sister
Y'all should
from
see him. We on our phones. we pulling stuff
Listen,
up. Look, Terrence would be so happy right now.
Listen, one thing I know our listeners will do, they will check you.
Yes, they will fact check. They will fact check.
So get your facts right. Just
Right.
do that.
I'm gonna.
They will
I don't want to
fact check.
butcher this this East African sister's name, but Timnit Gebru, who was the leader of Google's ethical artificial intelligence team.
Right.
She bowed out. Right. So she was one of the first ones that bowed out. That caused me to pay attention to the DEI space and who was leaving, and that it wasn't really all that it was cracked up to be, and that these companies and these educational institutions weren't supporting it the way that they should have been. And I think that MLK would be disappointed in the announcement and the growth of it.
Okay.
And then
Yep.
running all of these people out. And I'm not saying they ran out, but sometimes it's just not your battle. And it's just not your season for you to engage in that kind of growth for quote unquote the majority. I'm using my fingers here. But I think there is a place for it. I think it's warranted. I think you look at Florida and you look at what DeSantis is doing. You look at
Excuse me. I'm
brother,
sorry. I laugh, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Keep that in there, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't remove that laugh. But, go ahead.
you think about the book All Boys Are Blue, and the backlash that it's gotten, no matter where you stand on kind of the LGBTQ plus IA kind of spectrum and feelings. All of this kind of knowledge, all of this kind of truth that people are putting out. My truth may not be your truth.
Absolutely.
Your truth may not be Gene's truth, but it's still truth. And I think that the DEI space, in some respects, is losing. I think this speaks to what MLK envisioned again. But I think he'd be disappointed in how many companies and how many states are pulling back from providing a space and an opportunity for students to be educated and to read and to learn.
All right. Any last niggas before we go on to the next one, Gene? You good over there? I know you
So-
locked in.
I don't necessarily have a beef with DEI because DEI has forced companies, have forced the government and everybody to be more intentional. I just think it should be natural without having to have a program to tell you what to do. Okay. You know? Sure. And I'm not just talking about with black people, with, you know, the LGBT, excuse me if I get all the acronyms wrong.
LGBTQIA plus.
I'm not talking about that community. I just feel like, again, it shouldn't matter. All right. The person who does the job.
Sure.
All right. The best person who does the job.
Yep.
And even in my command right now, well, not my command, but who I work with right now, we have one of the first, I'm trying to get these words right because we want to be very correct. She is a she.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
But was a he.
Okay.
One of the first.
Okay.
Transgender.
In the Navy, that's in it, and it's flying and everything, you know? Okay. And I find it amazing. You know what I mean? And literally didn't have to take DEI to do any of that.
This person does their job well.
With pride.
I don't give a who you are.
They
you
treat
do your
people
job.
right. They treat people right.
Treat people right. Do the same.
Okay.
You know? And it should be like that. That's a prime example of how it should be. Yeah. And it sucks that it takes the military to show people how to do that. You know what I mean? Now, granted, maybe there was some stuff in the background. I don't care. But the way I treat people is, do you do your job well?
Okay, cool.
I'm carrying on a conversation. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You're still a person. Yeah. You know, you ain't calling me out my name. You know
but if you don't do your job well, I'm going to tell you about it.
Exactly.
All right.
Joe?
Look, I don't think I need to say anything. I mean, like I said, as I quoted, do your job with pride. You know, as we just mentioned, this person that doesn't have any preconceived notions on the people that's above or below him or her, and they do their job well. I mean, that's all that matters to me. I just look for that equality in the workforce. Since we're on the occupational piece, right? I look for that equality. I look for, can I see my vision without any barriers?
Sure.
From others, right? Can I see where I want to go? Can I be that TD that I talk to every month?
You can,
right?
And you will be.
And from that aspect, yes. And I appreciate that, bro. Yeah. I will be if I choose to, right?
Yeah.
I think that overall, absolutely, man.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think overall,
then it's done.
You know, we are exceeding that aspect from an educational standpoint. All right, so we're gonna get into the life.
The life part.
Life. Woo! I think it's gonna get a little ugly with the life. But let me go.
Right before you start, Joe, we might have some special guests on. A phone call.
We may go a little long today, folks.
Which is fine. I allotted some time for this show. All right. It ain't gonna be the 2-hour show we did.
Do not leave us, listeners. Stay with us. We're here.
The question was asked, this segregation, somebody can reframe it, but was segregation good or bad? So we're going to get some people who lived during that time on the phone.
Nice.
All right? AKA my parents.
On the show that I'm hosting?
Yes.
That's appropriate.
Yes. Might
That's
be number
appropriate.
one next, G. This might be our best show.
It might be.
That's appropriate.
It might be. So we're going to get them on the show.
As Gene setting that up over there and setting up that piece, I want to highlight, I went to Netflix and I typed in Black History.
Okay.
Right? I wanted to see some of the some of the things that came back. And I want our listeners to support these black movies, right?
Okay.
Support. They may not be 2024 movies. They may be 2020, 2021 movies. But let's go through it. I will go call out a few of them. Some of them we may have seen. The Vince Staples Show.
I'm watching that now.
Top 10 on Netflix right now.
Yo, send it to me.
Vince Staples Show. Please check that out. Of course, we know All American, right? We're all fans.
I have never seen an episode.
What? You never? What?
Never seen an episode.
So the real story is awesome, but the wife was addicted to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Check it out.
Yes. All right. We can go down to New Orleans, American Symphony. John Baptiste, who was an Oscar nominee, he has a Netflix special out right now. Harriet. I caught some of those episodes, man.
Yeah.
That's some deep
That's
stuff.
That's a good
right
stuff.
there.
That's a good one.
Go check that out. George Foreman has a Netflix show. Big George Foreman. Please check that out. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. Rustin is an Oscar nominee.
Oh, yeah.
Fatherhood with Kevin Hart. Go check that out. And The Best of Enemies. I see Taraji P. Henson in that. Go check it out. But I'm going to close it with Shirley.
That's the Regina King joint that's coming out, right?
Shirley. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout out to Regina King.
Is out on Netflix. Who is she talking about? Shirley who?
Shirley Chisholm.
Shirley Chisholm.
Shirley
Just wanted to
Chisholm.
make sure we was
1972.
Oh, look at my boy over here. Shirley Chisholm, 1972. All right. So everybody out there, go check out some of those Netflix specials.
Netflix, you can sponsor us if you like to.
Come on, man. That's why I do
Netflix,
this.
we just need a sponsor.
Listen, we need Old Forester. We need Pizza Night, Port City.
Right.
We need Trolls. Anybody that I mentioned, come show us some love. Right. Shirley Chisholm, real quick. That's my segue into this history facts for Black history. That's why I started with that. The first African American woman elected to the House of Representatives.
Yep.
She was elected in 1968 and represented the state of New York. That's Trump. That's Trump.
It's Trump country.
We ain't gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
We're apolitical, but I mean, we're just calling it
Black History Month.
right.
She broke ground again 4 years later in 1972 when she was the first major party African American candidate and the first female candidate for president of the United States. Did y'all know that?
Yeah.
No, I knew that.
I did not know that she was a candidate for president of the United States.
First one.
Yeah.
Before Jesse.
Shout out to Shirley Chisholm.
And everybody was saying Jesse was first.
This is often overlooked. So it's important. It's important for us to spit the facts on our podcast. We like to check our work, right?
Shout out to Black
Shirley
women.
Yep.
on Netflix.
But I do want to say one thing, and I want to put all of what we're talking about in the context. It was not that long ago, people.
No.
Yo, when I hear these years, I'm like, wait,
It was not that long ago.
my parents was a part of this.
Yeah.
Do people understand it was barely 40, 50 years ago where we couldn't drink from the same water fountain?
So, you know, that's what the part that makes it, and you talk about the segregation piece, that's the part that makes it super interesting is that in that short period of time, like you've seen this mass exodus of like departure from HBCUs, but you see this mass increase of us in numerous professions, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's been this ebb and flow of like progress, but still challenges. And we just have to figure out the right kind of mix in order for us to continue to succeed.
Exactly. It's just crazy. That's why I can't wait to get our guests on real quick. Because here in D.C., here in Charles County,
Come on now. Come on
it
now.
wasn't that
Come
long
on now.
ago, people.
Yeah,
know
I'm with you
what
on
I'm
that.
They still alive.
Yeah, and they still alive.
The
And they
safe
vote.
haven that we consider
And they
Charles
vote.
County.
They vote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They vote.
And I'm glad you said that. It wasn't that long ago we weren't allowed to vote.
that's true, man. They vote.
It wasn't that long ago women, period, wasn't allowed to go, black and white.
Yeah.
So
I got
keep
something for
in
that
context.
when we get to the life part.
Yeah.
About
All
that.
right.
Oh, we on the life part. Joe about to kick it off.
We are here right now.
Yeah.
We done wrapped up we done hit up education, we hit up occupation. Now we in the life. Being a we're men, black men, all right? Being a black father, being a black brother,
Yep.
right? The challenges. I want to hear it. I know we're going long, listeners. I know it's been
It's
an
fine,
hour.
Joe. We good.
I know, but please
good.
stick with us. I really feel like this is some good
good
content
conversation.
here. This is good conversation. Pause the show, come back to it later if you have to. Listen to the whole episode. I'm telling you, it's gonna be some good information.
Yes.
Shout out to our special guest again, Tyson, for being
Appreciate
here.
it.
Shout out to our host, our CEO,
Oh, look, he forgot my name.
co-host. No,
Co-host
I
tonight.
called you host, but you co-host. I'm the host, Joe Brickhouse. All right. Are we ready for the phone call right now? Or we want to talk first and then get into the
Talk
phone
real
call?
quick.
All right.
I'm gonna shoot them a
All right.
text.
So
with
we're
the
gonna get
phone
into
call.
so it's not a coincidence. And I went upstairs. By the way, we at my house, right? Undisclosed locations at my house. But I went upstairs and grabbed a shirt. I told you I was going to change shirt.
Yeah, you did.
I put on a shirt. Guess what the shirt is?
Drip.
It's Malcolm.
Malcolm.
Can we get a picture? Can we get a picture of that
Malcolm
shirt?
I can't make this stuff up. And this was not planned. I went upstairs and grabbed a shirt, and the shirt says "Driven," right?
Got it.
MLK. Can't make this stuff up. And I look over at Tyson, and I see Dream, Lead,
Yep.
Fight, Think, Write, Build, Speak, Educate, Challenge. Man.
And they look over at Gene and they just see some regular shit.
But you got on a black shirt, though.
That's black.
You got a black shirt on.
My president is black.
My president is black.
So is my Lambo.
Right.
All right. So let's go. Let's get into the life aspect.
I told them 5 minutes I'm going to call.
5 minutes is perfect. Let's give us time to go around the table and then we can go here. All right, Tyson, I'm going to come back to you, collect your thoughts real quick.
Okay.
Let's talk from a standpoint of life. How would MLK feel? And shout out to Malcolm, by the way. All right, we talking about MLK. We're not just limited to MLK and this one of, this was just a focus of he had the speech, he had a dream. We all know Malcolm did great things. There were some great leaders, right, that paved the way for us to be where we are. I don't want to just limit it to MLK, but this is the focus that we have right now. So from an MLK perspective, all right, looking at our lifestyle as a race, how you think he'll feel today, Tyson?
I think he'd be pleasantly surprised in components, right? There's, think about home ownership, think about marriage, think about there are a lot of things to be proud about, excited about. What I think he would be concerned about is perhaps the lack of organization. And I say that because it didn't hit me until, this is pre-pandemic, but this is an example. I was at work and a group that sits on the Republican side and conservative side rented out some space for the summer for a youth conference. So these kids are maybe 10 to 12 on the low end, up to about 17, 18. And they are there for a week and they are training and they are learning and they are being kind of indoctrinated about how to run the government the same way that it's being run now. And I think that's where he probably be a little bit disappointed in terms of like the organization and the training ground to understand, okay, this is how you strengthen this area. This is how you strengthen this area. This is how you strengthen this area, as opposed to hands on your knees, right? Like there's a time and a place for that. But I think we are sitting in a serious time right now where every moment and every minute counts. And I think we have to strategize and we have to have the kind of tactical advantage to leverage our strengths in every single kind of component, whether it's with y'all and kind of what you do in the military, whether it's me in education, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in Google, whatever. I think that's where he would be like, we need to do a better job in terms of kind of organizing.
Yeah. And I think too that he would actually be disappointed. And he would be disappointed going back to what you were saying, the organization, us being organized, and it all goes back to what they were doing during his time. And I would hate to say it because I use, counter Intel Pro and everything. Yeah. How we're so distrustful of each other when we are organized.
Sure.
Again, those seeds were laid way back then. And
Long
they're
time ago.
Still being laid now, where we as a black people can't organize.
Wow.
And you look at BLM, now, oh man, they were doing such and such with the money, blah blah blah, like that. The seeds of disorganization was laid back then, and it's still now where you can't trust the right hand, the left hand can't trust the right. So I think he would be disappointed. Yeah, it makes it challenging. He would be disappointed in that aspect, and he will also be disappointed to see that the relationship between law enforcement and minorities has not changed. And
that's where I want to go.
And I would use the aspect
that's
of
where I want to go.
I'm a licensed gun owner. I'm a licensed concealed carry. I have my concealed carry license, and I'm still scared as hell if I ever got pulled over from a pistol. And I got pulled over with my pistol one time.
Yeah, that's where I want to go.
In Virginia.
That's the pocket I want right there.
And it was the dumbest pullover, because it was my mistake though, but it was the dumbest pullover. The first thing I did was what they always teach us. Hands on the steering wheel, license, everything is out.
You do hands on the steering wheel?
I do hands on the steering wheel.
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
Especially if I'm carrying.
You do your out the window?
I do my hands out the window.
I got my hands on the steering wheel. I'm not moving till he gets there.
First of all, when the cop get there, my stuff is already...
Everything is on the dashboard.
Because I'm not going in my glove box.
Right.
No.
Right?
Right.
My stuff is ready.
Yeah.
Everything is right there. And if I got somebody in the car with me, I got them recording, bro.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's why I don't. I need to, but I haven't.
If you got somebody in the car with you,
Record.
I don't recommend that front seat driver.
Yeah.
Right.
The passenger.
Somebody.
But somebody
Right.
that can get something, let them. Yeah.
So, like, I had my hand on the steering
Don't
wheel.
be afraid to show the world how these cops are treating us.
Now, now, this is crazy. I was in, I was right on the border of North Carolina and Virginia. I got pulled over.
95 or 85?
95. So, you know what the love,
Make a
you know
difference,
what,
right?
So, you know what the love, yeah, dude, big difference. Big difference.
Make a difference.
So you know where the Loves is on 95.
Yep.
Yes.
You right
It's
on
a
the border.
Loves, it's a McDonald's, it's all that.
Emporia?
Yep.
Yeah.
So right outside of, I think it was right before you get to Emporia, or right outside of Emporia. So I got pulled over and had my hands on the steering wheel, had license, everything out there on the dash. First thing I tell him when he come across, sir, I am armed. I got my license, everything right there. He was like, I ain't worried about that. And I was like,
Oh, word?
he was like, I just see your license registration. And that took me forward. That messed my whole head up. Because the first thing I told him was, I'm armed and I got a pistol on me at the 3 o'clock position.
He ain't worried.
He was like, I ain't worried about that. He was like, you get your license and registration.
He think if you're going to tell me about it, you're probably not going to use it.
So when I got my license registration, he was like, hey, you know that you went around me to make a right turn. And I was like, I've been doing that for years because I always thought it was you could just make the right turn. He was like, no, it's one lane and you got to make a right turn. And then he said, you went to Bowie State, right? I was like,
Bowie.
yeah.
I hate when people say that, man.
I went to Bowie State.
Cannot stand it.
He was like, your Bowie State sign is covering up your
tag.
Tag tickets.
Yep. Can't see that.
I got him pulled for that.
Yeah.
He was like, you gotta fix that. I was like, oh, okay. But when he said, I ain't worried about that.
That's crazy.
I'm sitting here with a pistol, got 15 in the magazine, cock ready to
One
go.
in the chamber.
One in the chamber.
And he like, try me.
And he like this. Oh, I ain't worried about that. Let me get your license registration. But the fact that we still got to do that,
Yeah.
I think he'll be disappointed in that.
First of all,
Go ahead, Joe, and I'm gonna get
then get your phone ready. And I'm just gonna kind of like not really make any new statements, but I think the piece that sticks to me is how we're treated from a law enforcement perspective. I often correlate that to how when he was walking across that bridge, right?
The Edmund Pettus. Edmund Pettus Bridge.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I think about George Floyd, and I don't want to get in the name drop because I'm gonna forget somebody, right? And I'm not gonna say somebody. I don't want no drama.
Right.
But when you think about those moments, right, that we've had where
all those
brothers and sisters, that's the piece right there. The brothers and sisters. It's not just African American men. It's our sisters out here that's also being attacked, right? So when you think about it from that aspect, huge disappointment if he was here. By the way, he'll be 95. 1926.
Yeah.
Born 1926. During
If he wasn't assassinated,
he'll be 95.
he could possibly still be living.
He'll be 95 years old.
Yeah, possibly.
Right?
Because Coretta lived a good long life.
Wow.
Absolutely. He'll be 95.
But you know, they said when he passed away and they did the autopsy and stuff, they said, he was 36, 37?
Too young.
They said he had a heart of a 60-year-old.
Well, that's stress.
That
kind of stress.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the stress.
That's stress.
So
absolutely. All right.
Let me
go.
go.
Phone calls? We'll try
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens.
You can drive from the phone call perspective since you got the phone over there.
All right.
I would love to hear. I'm so ready for this, man.
Oh yeah.
So ready.
Hello.
Hey, good Reverend Dr. Eugene Lott. For everybody that don't know, this is my dad.
Pops.
Hello.
Can you hear everybody, Dad?
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right, how you doing,
We're
sir?
doing good. So,
All right.
Tyson, you want to ask the question? Because you don't want to actually say it.
No, you got it, Gene.
All right.
You got it.
No, because I can't remember how exactly the question was worded.
I actually want to hear his perspective on just
Segregation.
where he grew up.
Yes.
Where he is
All
now.
right. Let me give him the
Let's-
background.
yeah, there we go.
So, my dad, he was born and raised in Washington, D.C. and South Carolina. All right. So, he had a experience of both being in the Deep South and of also being up here, up north. So, Dad, the question we asked first was segregation going away good or bad? And then we just want to hear your experiences living in a segregated Washington, D.C. and South Carolina.
Okay. Let me start. One of the things I contributed to when Jim Crow, that's segregation. It's supposed to be separate but equal. But we never got the funding that the other persuasion got. You just got a little bit of it. But when you had your all-black high schools in D.C., like Cardozo was all black, it was a powerful school as far as academics and sports because of the teachers gave that extra, like at a HBCU. That was given in high school. You had Maggie Walker in Richmond. That was a powerful high school, all black. You had
you got Tyson over here slapping it up. Tyson from the Virginia Richmond area, so he know about that school.
Oh, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Yep,
that was a powerful school in sports and really in academics. You had people that went on from there and went to college, went to Morehouse, or the young ladies went to Spelman or big time schools, Virginia State, and then ended up going to law schools and became active in changing, in the movement and everything. Same thing with Cardozo. You had your people that came out of Cardozo that went on to Howard, Morgan, even Bowie. That's where you got your teachers and DC teachers. It was one time DC teachers was rated as one of the best teaching schools in the nation. But it was all segregated, and it was like that pride of coming out of those schools. Now, a little bit of me said we lost that with integration.
Right.
Yeah. And if you read up on it, Dr. King saw that just before his demise. That he was saying that if you just give us, even James Brown said, just open up the door. I'm not asking you to give me nothing, but just open up the door, make it an even playing field. Yeah. So if those schools were funded the way that they were supposed to be, we could compete, when we got to that next level with the people. So I kind of think that, and we lost a little bit of our culture. And we lost a little bit of the family, Like
and I'm glad you said that, Dad, because we had talked about fun. Because we talked about the topic today was basically today's world. What will MLK think? And we broke it down with education, occupation, and life. And when we was on the education portion, we were talking about the fundings of HBCUs and versus PWIs, and if they would have got the same funding, how it would have been. And I'm glad you actually said that.
Yeah. Well, you look at the physical plant of a place. If that's on the low, your academics going to be on the low because people are uncomfortable where they're living and stuff like that, and the teachers are not getting paid as much as y'all call them PWIs. They're not getting paid the same level as the teachers at HBCU. You can't attract the best and brightest. It all comes down to money and feeding your family. So if you did have a sterling black professor, and say Ohio State wanted him to come in and teach, and let's say Morgan wanted him to come, Ohio State gonna have more money. You know where he's going.
Exactly.
For his family, he's gonna go to the, be that token. We have Professor so-and-so, he's African American.
Hey, Dad, we got
play those games.
Joe want to ask you a question. Yes. Yeah. We got two questions Joe want to ask you.
I want to go first. How you doing, Mr. Lott? Joe Brickhouse here.
How you doing?
We met a couple of times, and great. I want to say something to you real quick. You raised an excellent young man that I have sitting to my right. You did a great job raising this man. So I just wanted to put it out there, give you your flowers while you live. Good job. raising this brother that I'm talking to in this podcast that we're on right now. So my question for you is
right. Well, before you go on,
I knew it's coming.
He and his mother.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Don't
shout out to the
discredit.
queen.
Listen.
Shout out to the queen.
Right.
I know you the head of the
also.
household, but the queen had a piece in that as well. So you guys did a great job, right?
All right.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a man right there that can shout out his
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Boy, you just put some chills on me right there. All right. So my question, this was a question that we had around table. Tyson is here with us, of course, Gene and myself. One of the questions that we led it was our personal experiences with Black history. And I talked about inauguration when Barack Obama his first term in office. Gene talked about the Million Man March. And then Tyson talked about some stuff that VA that I was just like, wow, he shocked me. I didn't know that he had some of the history and the backbone there. So from your perspective, whether it was in, when you was down living in the South or when you moved up, give me something that wasn't a great experience, whether you was a part of it or you just got a chance to witness it, Black history in the making, and you felt proud to be a Black man.
Okay. Believe it or not, at 10 years old, I was in the March on Washington.
Wow.
Where I have a dream speech. I was in that march with my mother and my aunt from New York. Now, prior to that, my dad worked for D.C. government. One of the few Blacks that worked for D.C. government at that time. And he had a middle grade position. He was, I think, when he retired, he was a 9. So at that time, he was like a 7. But he was scared for us to go to the march because nobody knew what was going to happen. You got to remember now, just a few months before that, they had the march in Montgomery, Selma Bridge and all that. That was all that same year, man.
That's right.
So he, I remember him and my mom squaring off, man, about us going to the march. And he was like, well, my nickname is Skip. He said, well, leave Skip home in case something breaks off. And I was saying, no, I want to march with Mama. So in a long story short, we had a cousin, Pierpont. He was in D.C. National Guard. At the time, he was the E7. And Pierpont, some kind of way, Dad got a hold of Pierpont. And we met him at 8th and 8th doing the march. We marched from 8th and 8th all the way down to the mall. I mean, it was just, they just blocked the street. It was just hundreds, thousands of people from New York, everywhere, everybody Black. And I remember the sign I had in my hand was better education. Well, anyway, Pierpont being first sergeant, a platoon sergeant with the National Guard, he marched with us, in his capacity of being with the National Guard. So that was the only way that my dad would allow us to participate in that march, because he had seen what they had did, turn dogs loose and
the
water like that. It was just a frightening thing. I can understand, at the time I was 10, but looking back at it, he was worried about his family. I understand that.
Wow,
absolutely.
I understand because they didn't let them take off from work.
All right.
But I took part in that. In South Carolina, you knew what side of the street. We were from Saluda.
Saluda, South Carolina.
You were supposed to be on. Okay. My grandmother was well respected in the town, and if I remember going, she was so respected in the town that I could go in the white man's store and get a cookies and sodas and everything. And he'll say, "What you got, Skip?" And I'll show him, and they put it in a book.
Put on credit.
So when my grandmother came in, she had to pay for it. Okay, he said Skippy was in here, got so and so, so and so. So I remember getting a nice little whooping.
You got too much.
Right, got too much. So she wasn't looking for that bill, but that's the way it was, man.
That's crazy.
That's the way it was. I remember we had to sit at a certain part of the train. You know, we used to catch the civil media from D.C. Because I'll go down every summer to be with her, and we had to sit in a certain part of the train. When we got to Columbia, you had to sit in a certain part, the colored section of the Greyhound bus station.
Wow. Man, let me say
and
something.
Wait on the bus, and then you know you had to go to the back of the bus.
Wow, yeah. I just can't imagine. Like, I'm gonna fast forward to where we are right now, the present. See, go ahead.
You can deal with it. I'm sorry if I'm talking over you.
You good? It's all right.
Okay, you can deal with it if you don't know no better.
Yeah, and see, that's the point right there that I wanted to make. Right. I just can't imagine today.
We don't know how to deal with it.
We don't know how to deal with it.
Like, I walked in the store, my kids know what not to touch now. But if I say let's go spend some money today, we went to Five Below. I ain't gonna lie, we went to Five Below a little bit early. I let them go in there and do what they want to do. I can't imagine my kids walking in that store and being on pins and needles and being in a certain section of the store and not being allowed to be in there with other people.
And that's the point I was making, that it wasn't that long ago.
I just can't imagine it though.
Yeah,
I'm talking. May seem long to y'all, but the March on Washington was 1963.
Not that long ago.
Okay.
That's insane.
Not that long ago. I remember when they killed
27 plus 24.
2 Jewish boys.
We're looking at 51.
And what was it? Cheney and what I'm sorry with S.
Yeah, the two Jewish boys.
Freedom Riders.
Yeah.
I remember that Mississippi burning.
Yeah.
That really happened. Mississippi burning
absolutely
really happened. I remember reading that in the newspaper. Can you imagine me reading that at 11 and 12 years old, reading about what happened to them? And then what we used to do when my dad would go down to South Carolina, my mother would make a big picnic basket, chicken and all that.
Yep.
That thermos thing with Kool-Aid, because we could not stop. You couldn't stop at a Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop at a.
Mr. Lott, Pops, we got one more question.
We got questions for you, Pops.
We're gonna stay on that. We're gonna stay on this because he's in a flashback, and I want to stay there. So I recently, last 6 to 8 months, caught a documentary about Green Book, but black folk traveling from the north to south. Okay. So you just mentioning this, mentioning this brings back a flashback for me. So can you just stay here for a second for me and talk to us a little bit about what I learned from this documentary was that a lot of black folks would travel at night because you couldn't see who was driving the car.
Wow.
And then you had a washcloth in a plastic bag or some foil or wax paper for you to use to clean yourself if you had to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
Like how in our time period, you go to the woods. Okay. So can you just talk about that a little bit about like the travel component? If you didn't go by a Greyhound or train, if you were in a car, fortunate to have a car, like that's all factual.
Right.
Okay.
That's all factual. We would we would leave, say, DC at around. It took about almost 8 hours to get there. We would leave DC about 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
It was all night driving.
Wow.
Okay. And then if there were certain places my dad knew that we could go, but you had to go around back. They had the nice clean white bathroom out front, but the colored bathroom, they had the signs colored. You went around back, and it was something I wouldn't even take a German Shepherd to.
Wow.
I remember those, but I always would ask, how come we don't stop at Shoney's or something like that?
Sure.
And they would say, nothing. You got food back there. Eat that food, or we'll stop at a rest area at a picnic table and eat that. But most of the time, we travel at night.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
Hey,
Thank
Dad,
you.
hold on, Joe. I need you to hear this real quick. We'll get a beverage break, Dad. But could you the story that my dad's told me a bunch of stories growing up in segregation and everything, but the story that always struck me was when Grandpa had to go get his birth certificate.
Oh, the birth certificate, yeah. Okay, I said try to do it real quick, Charlie. my dad was getting ready to retire from government. Of course, y'all know back then they had midwives as far as birth, so it was a mix-up with his. Either he was born New Year's Eve or born New Year's, so he had to get a birth certificate in order to get his civil service retirement straight and Social Security. So we went back down Saluda. This was 1968. So I remember we had he had bought a brand new 68 Cadillac.
He stayed with cars.
You're right. And we went to the courthouse. And the clerk of the court that was in charge of the court and everything was named Vincent Herlong. Now, as we were going there, Dad said, well, I hope this dude, he said, I hope Herlong can get the stuff I need because he grew up with us. He was poor white. We came and ate at my granddad and my dad, them table and everything. So when we got to the courthouse, we went into his office. And he jumped up, grabbed my dad, hugged him and everything, and you know, and said, "This your son, Skippy?" And yeah, and all that made us welcome, sit down. So he said, "Well, what can I do for you, Gene?" Because my dad was named Gene too.
Okay.
My father told him what he needed. He said, "Oh, no problem. We'll get one, and if it ain't dead, we'll hook it up for you."
Okay.
Called his secretary in there, told him, said, "Look, I've known this nigga all my life."
Said the exact words.
That's just how I said it.
Crazy.
That's just how I said it.
I've known this nigga all my life. He needs a birth certificate. These are the dates. And whatever this nigga want, you give it to him.
Wow.
And I looked at my dad. He bit his lip. And Herlong was looking to see if he'd say something. But my dad needed.
Yeah, he needed it.
And we had to sit there.
And take it.
And wait.
Wow.
And he talked about how I ain't married. That's my grandma. He talked about,
that fed
Charles Woodrow. And then when they came up with the paper and everything, look over it. You know, my dad had to say, he had his hand out. My dad had to say, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Okay.
And they got out of town that night.
Hey,
Out of there.
quick.
Do what you got to do and get out of there.
The courthouse, right?
Listen.
That's the courthouse.
That's crazy. All right.
He told me.
We got Dad on the phone.
He said, look, he said, we leaving out this thing. We're going by Mama, picking up our stuff, and we leaving from this so-and-so town.
It left that night.
That's crazy. All right. Any last thing, y'all, wisdom, like some tips? What you want, Tyson? Let's talk to Mr. Lott while we got him on the phone. We going long, y'all, but it's all right though.
Yeah.
Our CEO said we good.
We good.
He said we good. Let's keep this good. I really
Black
think
History
this
Month.
This might be cut into another episode and just be daddy.
Yeah,
That's it.
I really think this is a good topic. So we got a legend on the phone, man. From what I'm hearing, this man has witnessed Black history. He's been a part of Black history, and he passed Black history on to his son, which we are living right now. So
absolutely,
what you got? Let's utilize him while we got him on the phone. Tyson, what you want? You want to get into something earlier?
Tyson had a question for you, Daddy.
Yeah. So, Mr. Lott, I appreciate you joining us. So, can you just tell us a little bit about what it was like and what you thought when Black people started going to these white institutions, right? Because everybody basically had gone to HBCUs, and then kind of segregation ends or starting to end, and you see some individuals start to migrate to University of South Carolina or other white institutions. What was the conversation like?
Y'all talking about the Deep South.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Maryland, where you at? We in D.C., there was a time we couldn't go over in Bladensburg.
Wow.
Okay.
That's down the street.
Yeah.
You're right. Or Mount Rainier. Your mother could talk about that. You had to watch your back going over in there in the late 50s, early 60s. But my friend, what happened was when in 64, after Johnson had signed the bill and everything, the schools started getting extra money for letting us in. And I came out in 72, I went to Bowie, but my best friend got a full ride to American University. That was big, man.
Yeah.
They wasn't letting they had one dorm 2 floors on a dorm because I would go up, spend the weekend with him, party, take some girl. You ain't hear that, babe. Anyway, I would go up, spend the weekend with him, but even on the campus, and they knew he was there, they were giving him hard looks the time he was there, and it was one area for the black students. And
this is at American. This is at American University, y'all, in DC.
Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Wow.
See, that was a private black school. I mean, a private white school. But they had to let us in because of the Civil Rights Act.
Wow. Telling you,
this was like 1971,
right?
To 74.
Wow. Not too long ago, like you said.
Not too long ago.
Not that far away from it.
Yep.
And that's why certain person running for president is dangerous, man.
It is. It is
dangerous.
Well, Pop, man, we appreciate it. We appreciate getting you on.
I got some more stories.
Like I said.
Whenever y'all get it together. But this one last thing, 1983, I went to Glencoe, Georgia.
Yes.
To the criminal investigator school.
Right after I was born.
In line. Yeah, I'm going to hurry up.
Nah, you good.
This is 1983. I just want to let you know we haven't been free, or this so-called freedom they gave us that long. 1983.
Yes, sir.
A man came up to me and gave me a list of things and places that I should not go to. They can't tell me where to go, but I should not go to in Georgia. This was 1983.
And I thought 83 was a good year because that's the year I was born.
Yeah, that's the year I was born. He left right after I was born to go down there, by the way. And then he came back home and saw this big baby in the bed.
Yeah, I had to kick him out of my bed when I got back.
Well, thanks, Pop, man. And you are always welcome on the show, but we had to get your insight as somebody who lived during that era and experienced it, and tell Mama
what they call post-traumatic, even going back, flashing back to things for y'all, I got a little shaky.
No, I understand.
I got shaky. And
I got shaky. You know what I'm saying? When you were talking about it, Dad, I'm picturing it, and Joe was picturing it.
Like, the room got still.
The room got still and quiet.
I felt chills. I mentioned that. Like, I was not there. I did not have boots on the ground, but the story that you tell and the experience that you have, we got to get this on wax, man. Like, this is why we do this. This is why we have a podcast. This is why we don't want our history to die, right? My kids don't.
No, and we can't forget. Yes, we've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go.
Yes,
long way to go.
Right. The scenario now is y'all all right, and I had a person, one of my subordinates that worked for me, say, "Well, Gene, you made it this far. You got the nice home in Mitchellville. You get a car every 2 weeks. All your kids in college and everything fine. Why are you angry?" That was that. And they were innocent about it. There was no malice.
Wow.
I'm angry. Well, thanks, Dad. Yeah.
All right, man. I'm sorry if I, took over the time.
Nah, you good.
It's perfect, Pop.
It's good.
It's perfect.
Yeah, we said look, what I tell you, you're gonna have a segment. All right.
Okay.
All right, Pop. Love you, man. Have a good one, all right? Mama, love you.
Love you, Mama.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right, take it easy, Pop. Bye.
Check this out. I was on the website and I looked at population growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
From a Black history standpoint, this is crazy. The Black population of the United States in 1870 was 4.8 million.
Okay.
Right? 2020, U.S. Census found, and this is crazy because U.S. Census probably didn't catch everybody.
Right.
This is just the one they knew about.
The ones that know
You know
about.
what I'm saying? 46.9 million Black people, Black residents.
And I'm sorry to say, but that's why what used to be the majority is afraid because the minorities
That is correct.
are coming up.
Yep.
So closing thoughts, Joe?
Wow. Ooh, man. Like, I'm all up. I feel great.
This is a good episode.
This is a good episode. I feel like I'm gonna be honest with you, and I talk to my friends about this quite often. By the way, the man that I am today, would I have survived back then?
No.
The answer is no.
I say that all the time. I probably killed. I'd be hung.
I would have been gone.
I would have been hung.
Right?
Yep.
When I think about, and I apologize if I get emotional, but
no, it's fine.
Man, my babies just came down here, right?
Yeah.
They in the playroom, they chilling, they're quiet. But if you hear them, you hear them. But when I hear what your dad said, he went through at 10 years old. I got a 9-year-old in there.
And imagine that.
Man, I can't imagine my baby experiencing any disrespect from within our race, let alone outside of our race.
So going on off that point, I took my kid to archery practice yesterday, and to talk about the disrespect. At the end of practice, one of the coaches was too forceful with these 3 girls, one of whom was African American, was black. And I didn't have a problem with the initial interaction, but it was the second interaction. So part one is, I think in our culture, you look at me when I speak to you.
Right? Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So from her lens and me watching this as a third party, she's paying attention to you. You're an adult and you were talking to her. She is looking at you. But it was the second component, the anger, the way his body tensed, the male versus female dynamic, the adult versus child dynamic. And I had to email the head coach as soon as I got home, even though it was my child. Part, I think, of MLK's dream is taking care of the community.
That's what I'm
I have no idea who this young lady is,
Yeah.
this little black girl is. All I know is she got some puffs and she wears glasses.
But you took care of her.
And she goes to my daughter's school. And the coach called me 10, 15 minutes after I sent the email, and I explained to him why I was unsettled about the interaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
So this wasn't your child.
It was not my child. Because if it had been my child, it would have been a different outcome.
It would have been a different outcome. We would have had to go pick up Tyson from
I wouldn't
have been here tonight.
Central Booking.
It would have been Tuesday.
It would have been here tonight, Gene.
It was the two of y'all. It wasn't my kid. And I don't know her parents. None of that. I have no idea what name. But that, to me, that's part of it. Right? Because I don't know how that affected that young lady.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to be a memory for her. But I think we've lost a little bit of that in the community. And I think that's where MLK
and that's what Pop said. And in closing thoughts, that's what Pop said. In his opinion, that's what we lost when segregation went away. That sense of community.
Yes, sir.
That sense of we're going to take care of ourselves. It's a village.
Yes.
We have lost that village and trying to incorporate ourselves. Because, how can I put this? Yeah, we weren't included, but that doesn't mean it was good for us.
Exactly. And let me tell you something, man. I don't think it's a coincidence that your dad came on after us. He didn't know what we talked about.
Right.
But everything that we talked about, he hit on.
Was hitting on.
So well.
And from experience, right.
Gene did not talk to you. I know you didn't talk to your dad before the show.
Nope.
Your dad had no clue what we discussed on this show.
So timely.
But he went back. I'm a thinker, right? I talked about Barack. You talked about some experiences in Virginia. You talked about the Million March. Your dad went back before the Million March.
All that before.
And it was relevant.
Relevant
information that he had as a 10-year-old. And then you talk about from your experience when you was young to Virginia to my experience. Man, you can't make this stuff up.
And he hit on stuff that when he hit on the Virginia school, Joe, you were like, I know about that. It was crazy.
This is crazy, man.
I applied to go to that school.
Hey, man, Gene, once again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for this podcast, brother. Thank you for the opportunity to host. It's your boy, Joe Brickhouse.
Joe Brickhouse.
Man,
come on, man. What you got?
Hey, it was a good one, y'all. We ran long, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it.
Our special guest, Tyson. What you got?
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, Gene. Joe, thank you for the opportunity. Anytime y'all need me, I'm here.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Hey, this is another episode of All Shit on 40. This has been Joe, Gene, and Tyson, and the rest of the crew. Y'all take it easy. Peace.